What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So we have a packed agenda for today's horror news update. We have roughly 4 stories. One of them has two stories, articles that kind of tie into each other on the same topic. But we have, as you can see here, we have an update for the 20th anniversary for Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects. Now, while I don't know, many people wouldn't say this is a horror film, I think it has its place. I think it has its place in some level or some subgenre of horror. So we're going to cover it. One, because I think that. Two, I like it. It's one of the few films that Rob Zombie has done that I do enjoy. Now, you all know I'm a huge Halloween fan. As far as the franchise overall, I'm a huge Michael Myers fan. He's my favorite OG when it comes to horror. Now, I've never had any bones about it, where I've always said 1978 Halloween and 1981 Halloween 2 will always be my favorite 2 Halloween films. I've gone somewhat detail on that. I know I've said it before in the past where I want to do a Halloween series for the overall franchise, movie by movie. We're still going to do that. But when it came to Rob Zombie's Halloween films, the two that he did, the first one he did, if you didn't know, it was quite the chore, quite the painstaking event, so to speak, for him to get that done between him and the studio. And he almost didn't come back for the second film. He was actually, in some ways, forced to come back to do the second one. And when he did finally agree to do it, he says, "This is it. I'm not doing another one after this," and reluctantly agreed to do it. Now, that doesn't mean I have any that doesn't have anything to do with why I don't like him. I don't know. Just those interpretations of the franchise just weren't for me. But again, I still like some of Rob Zombie's work. So we're going to cover off on that. We have a Crystal Lake update for the TV series coming to the Peacock streaming platform, which is the prequel TV series for the Friday the 13th franchise, if you didn't already. The Addams Family is getting a reboot. Not sure if it's really necessary, but I think it's just riding the coattails of the TV series Wednesday from Netflix. I think it's just trying to ride that wave. And then we're going to close it off with some of that very much loved when you have public domain characters out there and people keep saying that they're being taken advantage of, they're poaching, they're whatever. It's in case you didn't know, it's public domain. Anyone can do anything they want with it at that point. It doesn't matter. No one's stealing anything, no one's poaching anything. It's public domain. So we're going to touch briefly on that. So let's get into it. So as you already have seen on the screen here, Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects returning to theaters for the 20th anniversary in October. So one, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years since that film has been out. And two, it's, I think, a great film to put in October during the Halloween season. This isn't a film for everybody. I know it can be some aspects of the film, and just in general, Rob Zombie's work can be kind of tough to watch for some people, but if you're into horror on any level, I think you can get through this. And especially if you're the type of horror fan who loves gore horror, Terrifier, things like that. This is like a walk in the park. This isn't going to be anything that dramatic for you to sit through. So let's just run through this one real quick. Rob Zombie's psychotic masterpiece, The Devil's Rejects, is returning to theaters nationwide for the film's 20th anniversary. Screening in 4K for the first time, Rob Zombie's blood-soaked cult classic is presented in theaters by Fathom Entertainment, the leading specialty distributor of content to theatrical partners worldwide, and Lionsgate. The second installment in Zombie's infamous Firefly trilogy will screen for 2 nights only, Monday, October 2nd, and Wednesday, October 8th. So not as close to Halloween as I would have liked, but hey, it's still happening within the same month. So I think that's a win in itself, because I think we only have 2 other horror films that we've covered recently that are falling within the month of October. So we definitely need a lot more to be coming out in theaters for the Halloween season. And it's unfortunate it's only for 2 nights. I mean, maybe they would have done it for a week, maybe. I think that would have been nice. So I don't know where. Hopefully we'll go continue this article. It'll tell us if it's going to be what theaters or if it's going to be all theaters. Each screening includes an exclusive new introduction created by Rob Zombie, reflecting on the legacy and impact of The Devil's Rejects. Check out the 20th anniversary re-release poster below. So we're going to check that out. So we're getting a new poster. And if you didn't know, this is a brief synopsis of the film. We're not going to cover it because we have a lot of other things to cover in this video. So I imagine, hey, this film's been out for 20 years. I can't fathom that many of you who have seen it don't know what the film is about. And if you haven't seen it, where have you been? Just go buy a digital copy, go buy a physical copy. You know what? Scratch that. Go buy the physical copy. Support physical media. And if you can't find it, then of course buy a digital copy. But get out there and support physical media. All right, so this just covers the synopsis, who's all stars in it. So okay, here's the poster. Let's see what this 20th anniversary poster looks like. I can't say I like it. I can't say I like this. For me, this just doesn't fit the film. And we all know that infamous image of the three main characters kind of like walking down the road, covered in blood, carrying weapons. That is something I think is just the most iconic image for this film. And this poster here, yeah, it's clean, and I do like that aspect. I mean, I don't like this up here. This just seems completely out of place. Rob Zombie's psychotic masterpiece. Put that either at the bottom or nowhere at all. I do like the fact that the bottom of this, they don't have all the credits and all that nonsense down here. It's a clean poster. It's just not the style of poster I like, and not the style of poster I would have expected for a 20th year anniversary poster for a film like this. It doesn't feel like a Rob Zombie type poster. So that's a bit disappointing. I'll say, yeah, it's not for me. I know there's some people out there who like this style, almost like leaning more towards the artistic drawing, painting type aspect. Yeah, just not for me. Would have liked something drastically different for, again, thinking Rob Zombie. I wouldn't think this style. So sticking with Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects, we're going to jump to the next story that also released today. Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects hits SteelBook 4K Ultra HD in October as well. So let's check out these details, which I'm sure, okay, yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure it'll mention what we just talked about, and it does. It says, after returning to theaters on October 6th and 8th, The Devil's Rejects will be released on SteelBook 4K Ultra HD and Blu-ray on October 14th through Amazon. I believe that is a link. I'm not going to click on it. And before we move any further, I have no affiliation with that link. I have no affiliation with this article, with this website. I'm strictly just a consumer of the information, just like all of you. So, yeah, I have nothing to do with the links, the articles, the product that's being sold here. Yeah, nothing to do with me on that. Just want to put that disclosure out there. All right, celebrating its 20th anniversary, Rob Zombie's 2000 follow-up to House of a Thousand Corpse is presented in 4K. So we're getting the Dolby Vision HDR and DTS HD Master Audio. So let's see. All right, so it's 2 discs. First disc will be the 4K. Disc 2 will be the Blu-ray. All right, so we have audio commentaries, deleted scenes, blooper reels, makeup test. We have quite a bit of special features. Now, I don't have a physical copy handy of the previous releases to know if any of this special feature content or additional content, however you want to phrase that, is already something that we currently have on the physical releases that have been previously given to us, or if any of this is new. So I don't know if that's the case. So if any of you out there have a physical copy handy of The Devil's Rejects and can confirm in the comment section if any of this is new or if this is all just the same stuff we've already gotten. Actually, let's see here. Well, this says disc 1 and 2, 4K, then Blu-ray. So this sounds there's a third disc. 30 Days in Hell, The Making of Rejects, 145-minute documentary. So again, yeah, I don't know if that was part of any previous physical release. Again, if you have it and you have it handy, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know if that's also something that's been previously given on the physical media. All right, so this just goes into the synopsis, the exact same one that was just in the previous article for the theatrical release announcement. Not talking about that. Who's all starring in it? We know all the cast and everything. Okay. Oh, that's okay. I thought this was the poster again until we started scrolling down more. That is a huge disappointment. So they're using the poster. So the poster itself, obviously it's much bigger. So the poster that we just saw was just the right side of this SteelBook, which looks like they're going to use for the cover. It looks like there's an additional piece to that, which is now the left side of it. Now, if they were going to do a poster, they could have done it this way, right? So you can see both sides of it instead of just doing one half of the poster. Either way, I still don't like it. And Oh, okay. So we get to see the inside of the SteelBook as well, and you can barely see what the cover art looks for the 3-disc. I mean, the 3-disc cover art, I mean, that looks all fine. I do not like, so this looks like the slip cover over here to the left. This is the slip cover that goes over the SteelBook. This is the inside of the SteelBook, and then this is the back of the SteelBook to the far right. I do not like this SteelBook at all. The inside cover art that looks more like a comic book. The outside cover art, which is just a continuation of the poster, the 20th year anniversary poster. Yeah, I'm sorry. In my opinion, this was a big swing and a miss for me, for the poster and for the SteelBook. For a 20th year anniversary, I'm wondering if Rob Zombie saw this and had any say in what this looked like. If he had to provide sign off or anything, or if the studio just said, this is what we're going to use, and this is what they decided on. But that is, yeah, I'm not a fan of this whatsoever. I'm hoping if they do a regular physical release and not just a SteelBook, they use a completely different cover art, because that just looks bad. Or maybe just print out a custom cover art if you get a regular 4K edition and just replace it in the plastic, because that does not look good. So. All right, so that's going to do it for the Devil's Rejects update. So let's jump now into Crystal Lake TV series turns original Friday the 13th filming location back into Crystal Lake. So, if you didn't know this, and I'm sure they'll cover this in the article, after the first Friday the 13th, the location where that film was made, my understanding is from what I've read, none of the other subsequent films ever went back to that location. They were all filmed somewhere else. And I believe that first location was filmed somewhere in New Jersey. So I've heard that, and hopefully this article again confirms this, and it looks like it's going to, because it says location back into Crystal Lake, that they're going back and filming the prequel series in the same locations as the original film. So let's get into it. Hopefully that's the case. That's what I've heard. Hardcore fans of the Friday the 13th franchise know that the original horror classic was filmed in and around the town of Blairstown, New Jersey. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure of the name of the town. I was pretty sure it was somewhere in New Jersey. With the real Camp Nobe Bo Sco playing the role of the fictional Camp Crystal Lake in Sean Cunningham's 1980 slasher. Unfortunately, however, none of the sequels ever returned to that classic film location. Yep, I read that, knew that. But Crystal Lake, the upcoming television series from A24 and Peacock, is aiming to channel the classic spirit of the original slasher by finally returning to Blairstown, New Jersey. Filming on the prequel series is now underway, and showrunner Brad Caleb Kane has shared a behind-the-scenes photo this afternoon that gives us a sneak peek at the real-life Blairstown, New Jersey, being remade once again into the fictional Crystal Lake, New Jersey. All right, so this just talks about the history of when the town city was found, which was in, so let's see here. Well, it says here Crystal Lake was founded in 1783, many years before the real life Blairstown, New Jersey, was incorporated as a township in April of 1845, which would make sense. Okay, so let's just keep going. Callum Vision is playing a young Jason Voorhees. We talked about this, so we've talked about this casting previously. And what our guess is going to be is why they're bringing in a young Jason Voorhees, because that casting for Callum mentioned he was just guest starring in this prequel series. So it made it seem like he wasn't obviously going to be in all the episodes. He might just show up in a few scenes here and there before the ultimate demise and drowning of the young Jason that we know happens. So let's keep. Okay, so this is the photo that was shared. Town of Crystal Lake, established 1783. So yeah, I'd imagine if they're going to put this, if they're putting this here and they're taking this photo, that this is going to be somewhat used or maybe shown in the television series. It'd be crazy if this was only shown for like a brief 3 seconds as a camera was panning in going down the street, and that's all we ever saw of it. But either way, it's pretty cool to see, and that's the end of this article. So, and it's also pretty cool that they actually are going back to the same areas that the original film was done at. And it's crazy to think that all the subsequent films that took place, especially supposedly at Camp Crystal Lake, never went back to the same location in Blairstown, New Jersey, that none of them ever returned. you would think, especially for the time in the 80s, they would have kept somewhat continuity, kept somewhat of the same surroundings, and would have just gone back to the same location. But apparently, for whatever reason, they didn't. So, anyways, that's just a quick update on the Crystal Lake TV series. I thought that was just pretty cool, pretty interesting that they're going back to the original location of the first film, the original film, to do the prequel series. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. All right, so let's move on to our next story. The Addams Family animated movie franchise is getting a reboot from Wednesday Team. So Wednesday Team being the team that's been giving us the Netflix TV series based on Wednesday Addams. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this, I don't think this is necessary. I think there's been 2 films already, animated films, and now they're rebooting. So I think the only reason this is happening now instead of what have happened previously is they have seen the success now that they're into season 2 of Wednesday. Hey, if we're going to capitalize, if we're going to cash in on the hype, on the fan base, so to speak, of the Addams Family, let's do this now. Let's reboot this now, so we can capitalize on that wave. So, all right, let's see what this one's going to be. Let's see what the going to be about, or what they're going to give us about this one. The Charles Addams created property. The Addams Family has endured after all these years, taking on many different forms throughout the decades. The latest is, of course, Netflix live-action series Wednesday, which we all know, starring Jenna Ortega, which came along in the wake of 2 animated feature films that were released in theaters by United Artists in 2019, 2021. So we're well removed from both of those films. But the animated Addams Family saga is now getting a reboot from Wednesday creators. Alfred and Miles, the duo, has revealed on Deadline's Crew Call podcast. All right, so while the new anime movie is from the team behind Wednesday, it will not be connected to the Netflix series, and also not connected to the 2 previous films. Okay, so they're really going all out to reboot this. No tie-ins to anything that's been previously done. I mean, obviously they're gonna have to do some tie-ins just to the characters themselves, but from a story perspective, nothing to do with what's already happened animated for those 2 films, and nothing to do with live-action Wednesday TV series. So they're really going all out to reboot this. All right, so they both quoted here, "We're working on it with Amazon MGM," and Kevin, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. So Kevin, who runs the Addams Foundation, he knew Charles Addams and the keeper of the Addams Flame, and with Gail Berman and John Glinkman, we're rebooting the animated film franchise. Continues on the quote here, "So won't have anything to do with the 2 films before it, nor is it connected with this show. It will be a brand new Addams feature. There's really not much we can say about it because it is in very early stages." And then just mentioned Wednesday season 2 part 1 is now streaming on Netflix, and that's the end of it. So again, I think this is just it's not, I don't want to say cash in because that sounds really bad, but maybe this is just a cash in. Again, they're riding the wave of the popularity of the Wednesday TV series. So I think, hey, if we're going to, again, ride that wave and give those fans a little bit more Addams Family content, let's reboot the animated series. Now, I am surprised that it's going to Amazon, or Amazon MGM, however, Amazon MGM. I'm surprised it wouldn't be going with Netflix. I'm surprised that because Netflix currently has Wednesday Addams, and I'm sure there's going to be a season 3 to that series, you would think, hey, let's keep that relationship going and put it there. But now it sounds like, nope, not doing that. Let's just make it more difficult for the consumer, and let's go put it on Amazon. So I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a full theatrical release. I don't see them just pushing this to Prime, because you're gonna want to. It's animated. A lot of kids are gonna probably want to go see this, drag their parents to go see it. So I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a full-blown theatrical release. So, yeah, more to come on this one. But as it says here, still very much in the early stages. But again, thought it was interesting that they are in the process of rebooting and continuing to cash in on the Addams Family wave. So more to come on this one. All right, so our last story for today is Richard Stanley is writing Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 3. So for those of you who are the public domain fans of a lot of these films that have been coming out over the last several years, even this year we've had quite a few come out. you have now an update on who's going to be writing Blood and Honey 3. So let's see what details we got here. A year has gone by since we heard that Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 3 was moving ahead. It was said that this sequel will have a bigger budget than either of its predecessors and will introduce new characters from the original Winnie the Pooh stories, including Rabbit, the Huffalumps, and the Wuzzles. Now Variety has learned who's writing the screenplay, and it's quite an unexpected choice. The writer of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 3 is Richard Stanley, the filmmaker known for writing and directing Hardware, writing and directing Dust Devil, and co-writing and almost directing The Island of Dr. Moreau, but getting fired and replaced by director John Frankenmeyer 4 days into production. Stanley appeared to be making a long-awaited comeback with his 2019 HP Lovecraft adaptation, Color Out of Space, but then came multiple domestic violence allegations and a libel lawsuit against his accusers. Okay, so yeah, that's a bit surprising that they're bringing him to do this, because I'll come back to that as why I'm saying that. Scott Chambers and Rise Frank Waterfield are producing the Winnie the Pooh horror sequel for Jagged Edge. Although Frank Waterfield directed the first two films, Chambers will be replacing him at the helm for the third film. Chambers provided the following statement. I've always been a huge fan of Color Out of Space and all of Richard's work. Now with the third installment underway, I can't wait to see his wild new vision come to life. Work has already begun and it promises to take everything to an entirely new level. I am wildly excited to be joining Scott Chambers and his creative team as a screenwriter on the mind-wrenching third installment of a beloved blood-soaked saga that has revitalized independent genre film production in the UK. The 100 Acre Wood will never be the same again. And this just goes on to talk about all of the other like public domain films, not all of them, but a good portion, like Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, Bambi the Reckoning, Pinocchio Unstrung, which we haven't heard anything about Pinocchio Unstrung in a long time. So I don't even recall that one being released yet, unless it did and I completely missed it. But I know Bambi is either already released or supposed to be releasing soon. Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare released. I did watch that. I still got to put up my movie review on that one. That one is pretty intense. If someone told you that had nothing to do with Peter Pan and they just didn't use the character names from the Peter Pan story and just said, here's a horror film, it's a pretty crazy horror film. We've also heard about this, the crossover of the Poohniverse Monsters Assemble, which is supposed to bring a lot of these characters together, which with the Peter Pan character supposedly being the villain in that film. This one says it's set to start filming in March, and Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey will be filming next spring. So we have a ways to go before the Monsters Assemble and Blood and Honey 3 start filming. But again, we haven't heard anything about some of those films in quite a while. And the one that really stands out is the Pinocchio Unstrung. I would have thought we would have heard more about that one, because we've gotten images from that film. It seemed like at one time every week there was something coming out about that one, and all of a sudden it just stopped completely. So that's the end of this article. So again, for those of you who are public domain fans of these films, of these Disney character films, there's your update for Blood and Honey 3. So to get back to what I wanted to say about the comment of the domestic violence allegations, things of that nature. Typically when something like that happens, you don't see a lot of these actors, directors, writers, whoever that are in like these higher placed positions when it comes to films or TVs. They typically don't make a comeback. And if they do make any level of a comeback, it's a very, very small one. And it has nothing to do with putting them out there in the forefront of something like this that's trying to build its own horror universe, so to speak. So that's why I said I'm surprised to see that, because again, not a lot of studios, production companies, whatever, are willing to take on that level of heat, so to speak. But again, this says here multiple domestic violence allegations and libel against his accusers, and a libel lawsuit against his accusers. So I have no insight into this. I mean, those are very serious allegations. Definitely not good. I don't know if this was if these cases ever found a conclusion, if he was found guilty, not guilty, or if things were settled out of court. I have no insight into that, so I'm not going to speak to any of that outside of the fact of what I've already said. Usually when stuff like this comes up, people don't have any level of a comeback. So Obviously, the studio and those involved aren't too concerned, but I think those are pretty serious things to be dealing with and taking on. So anyways, that's going to do it for this story. So that's going to do it actually for this video, for this horror news update. So Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects 20th year anniversary coming to theaters for 2 days only. Then a week or so following that, you get the 4K SteelBook. Again, in my opinion, the SteelBook inside, outside cover art, the 20th year anniversary poster is trash. Crystal Lake TV series, the prequel series, is returning home, going back to the location of the original film to do its filming. The Addams Family animated is getting a rebooted film, no ties in to the 2 previous films or the Wednesday TV series. And Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 3 has found its writer. So drop a comment in the comments section. Let us know what you think about any one of these stories. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Later.